Okay. And when I say prolong, I'm doing thank you. I like my nails too. I had yellow ones last week. Bright yellow. But yeah, when I say prolong, I'm thinking like the time it takes me to record accurate information is a lot longer because I'm only recording small moments at a time. Kira painted these this time. It like you start to see things that aren't really what's in front of you. Like there's all this like movement, you know, this line, this curving line is really cool to me. We had like dinner with my brother and my mom over Zoom. There's like this interesting bowing shape happening right here along the outside edge of this. Yeah, no, I know you can definitely do it. There's like an option in Streamlabs that like makes it really easy. I mean, honestly, I probably do have it already set up. I am doing it right now because why not? Here we go. Here's the chat. Welcome, chat, to a window thing. I am doing really poorly at this whole like stretching out the duration of like measuring and stuff because I've been painting so fast for like the last year. Yeah, I mean today I like at lunch I was looking out the window and I was like, oh, I want to paint that, so I did. I was thinking about how like the reason I started doing this was because a lot of like, so in art, like specifically painting and like academic painting, it gets really like isolated and like you don't hang out with people and don't talk about stuff and do anything other than paint, and then it's like super insular. Yeah, painting friends. I mean, well, see, the problem with that is that no one who does like fine arts painting does, yeah, paint some friends. Oh, I could build them. Build paint friends out of my material. Because it's, I mean, like, people who paint tend to work in a studio alone, and that's just, like, how it is. Yeah, I could just make, like, 200 different animations and have them on loop. Oh, okay. You mean like actually like stream? You were being helpful, whereas I'm like, yeah, construct friends, animate loops so that they'll talk to me. That's like, I mean, that's the type of stuff that I want from this is like a social kind of practice of painting. The keyboard's right there. I need to not ignore it. It's giving me information to use in measuring everything else and figuring out what's going on. Like, I've been having people from Instagram that I'm friends with, like, come on and do interviews. Not on Twitch, but on YouTube. And now that I've moved over to Twitch, I'll probably do it here. I always wish, like, when I think of D&D stuff, I always wish I was more, like, could get more motivated to, like, illustrate things. Because I have trouble doing anything other than this when it's art related, like other than looking at stuff. So if you could find me one of these, like bring me the corpse of this octo monkey and I would draw it. I'm starting to find cool things with Mark here because the way that the Mark is building, I can still see a lot of space where I haven't like found measurements, but it like kind of all contributes to the gesture of the whole thing. Oh, like rapid fire? Would it be like? Yeah, I mean that's what's so interesting about like some of the monsters in Zelda. Kira's been playing Ocarina of Time. I think I said that yesterday, but some of the monsters in Zelda have like access to tools and weaponry and things like that. That implies like a lot of like social development, like the potential for a lot of social development, like having tools. And I always think about that when it comes to like mythological creatures or like D&D characters or any type of like fantasy character. Is it's always like the monsters, like I feel like part of what qualifies a monster is like not subscribing to some type of social norm thing. Yeah, I feel like it's hard to add creatures to like something like D&D because it's the progenitor for a lot of fantasy creatures. I guess I'm going super additive instead of super measured and metered with this drawing. I think that's what talking in chat caters to. Like I can still make a interesting image and it's filled with like conscious uh, visual decisions, but yeah, I definitely speed up a lot when I'm talking. I'm starting to, there's like this kind of narrowing that's happening right here where it's like, it's going this direction. Because there's a shadow and then the reflection of the box on the lower kind of rim of my monitor. I like triggered effects. I like when the DM has more control, but like the party is in charge of like the chain of events leading up to the DM's choices, if that makes sense. Tingerfips. I like not drawing things accurately though, because then it lets me play with like the accidents that happen with all the lines, so they kind of collide and start creating these like cool undulating shapes that maybe add to the, like maybe I can see something that I'm seeing out here in the mistakes. I am gonna hit this with a lighter form of that shadow. So again, we're like the white that's included holds a lot of weight. So we're taking on fields and pushing and pulling with line. So with disruption, we're pushing and pulling so that it can create kind of it can take us into that space. So right now I see this big shape and then my computer screen is kind of lit and it has another large shape. So like, I think the abstraction I'm interested in is this intermittent area, like the thing that's held behind the door. And so I guess that's starting to become the goal of what I'm looking at. Maybe we can start altering our approach to get there. Sometimes slightly off angle marks in your crosshatches creates a really specific like planar turn. Something, I mean, like I ignore them a lot when I'm drawing, but I haven't drawn with a pen in a while. So it's kind of exciting to see, like, what can I experiment with that I've learned from my paintings this past year? A lot. So, like, those tiny marks are kind of one of those things where my paintings have started to become an accumulation or like a transition. And like that, those measurements give me a ground to start kind of exploring form with. And I'm using random pens that I had in my, like I have a shelf next to me that's filled with like art supplies. And I just grabbed a bunch of pens and started kind of filling that up. So there's this, the sketchbook, which is right here. And then there's the TV or the monitor, and they are both these like bright light shapes. So I noticed that and I was like, how can I get this space, like this shape, to feel like it's in between those two shapes? So that's what I'm focusing on right now. I think the idea is that like everything is a little abstract in life. Like when you look at stuff, you're never actually looking at any one space for a long period of time, and it's all a compilation of like generalizations that makes imagery. Absolutely. I mean, I think that's how most modern artists feel. It's like Da Vinci to Pollock. I'd probably say Mondrian. I mean, Pollock's pretty cool though, like conceptually. I think like the artist that I relate most to, and this is like obnoxious, especially like Kira's a composer, so she'll probably be more annoyed by this than most. But the artist that I relate the most to is John Cage. So they like will talk about like how a symbol has certain weight, or and how like art history has been in the process of like encoding those symbols to mean certain things. So the more often you see a representation of something, the better that representation, like the more that representation means something to you. Those kind of visual, like phenomenological forms of watching or of seeing is like what drives a lot of painters or image makers, especially illustrators and things like that, because they have like they're a part of that process. Like anyone you see drawing a character or drawing like clothes or something attainable with your mind, they're like creating symbols for cultures to use, which is cool. And then you have people like me who are just like focused on the phenomenology end, or like the sensory input of sight. Change it, like the more you can focus on like defining space in a painting, or like the relationship of space, the more you start to like get resolution, at least